Michael Wood Jr. We're going to get him on the line as soon as we can. I want to talk to him about his initiative. Oh, we already have him. Michael, thanks so much. Sorry for the delay. How are you doing, man?
I'm good, Ben. How are you, brother? It's all right.
I'm doing good, man. Talking about these Republicans is throwing me off, man. And talking about the Democrats who are willing to let this happen, man. This is really throwing me for a loop, but we're going to do a hard shift. And I want to talk about some of the work that you've been working on. I follow you on Twitter, and I've seen your work over at the Young Turks in terms of promoting the community policing. First of all, tell us about what you're working on and tell us about the concept of what you're trying to get to spread across the country.
Well, I mean, the honest truth is I'm not trying to spread it. There's a group called Civilian-Led Policing that is taking the model that I developed from my scholarly endeavors and after being a police officer in Baltimore to put together what really needed to change in policing to reform it. And what my studies had shown is that essentially our biggest problem is that we are judging and we kind of expect in our communities and understanding of just what policing should be, that we should be judging the output of it. And we're kind of comfortable with that. We say we want this of policing, but what we're not doing is we're not controlling the input into the system. So that's why the output that comes out of the system is misaligned with what we want it to actually do. So what I'm talking about is fundamentally changing policing, and you have to look it up and see what the model is to get into the nuance of it. But if everyone's comfortable with the civilian review board judging the output, so judging when it's really, really bad, just imagine taking that civilian review board and moving it all the way to the top where the mayor used to be and having the people actually in control of the input so that that would align to the output that you were desiring.
So instead of just having and we actually have a graphic of your model, we're going to pull it up on the screen while we discuss it. So instead of having a community review board reviewing it after the fact, you're saying put that board at the beginning of the inputs where they can analyze what's happening before they're getting stuck with what has happened. Am I hearing you correct?
Yeah, I mean, that's one of the easiest ways to kind of conceptualize it. This is based on a bunch of management theory because we have a systems and management issue that we are kind of thinking is like a policing issue, and it is a policing issue, but it's because the system policing is actually designed to serve a mayor and or some other politician's political needs and goal for a 4 to 8 year period as being their personal army. Mayor Bloomberg and this to the world in public bragged about how he had this personal army, and so that's how it's literally structured. So when it says on the side of the car to protect and serve, the system that in place means it protects and serves the oligarchy, those that are in power. So you have to fundamentally change that so that protect and serve actually means you. Even when it comes to a police chief, when people say, oh, which chief we have, which one, they're actually arguing over who will tell them how they will be policed instead of dictating how they will be policed themselves.
So this is a radical transformation, right? And I'm sure you obviously keenly aware of that. What's some of the reception that you've gotten with this concept from the communities that you talk to about it, but then B, from some of the policing agencies that you've encountered and have this conversation with? What's kind of the feedback you get?
Well, when it comes to the community, I think we're largely driven by fear, because what I'm talking about is not a radical shift at all when it comes to the scientific literature. You find me any management scholar that would look at what I've done with surprise that it's not going to happen. They're going to say, well, yeah, of course, this is all established literature, stakeholder theory, using a Delphi interview technique to bring all these things together makes perfect sense. But what really is happening is that we're taking the people, and when we you're also accountable. So I think we're holding back like this fear of, oh my gosh, we'll be accountable, but we're like something about us is more comfortable with being by somebody than actually doing it and holding ourselves accountable for that ruling. So from the public, it's mostly fear. From policing, there's no pushback at all. The police just think it's not rational to put in, like you're just not going to get it done because the system doesn't work that way, because they've been beat up by the system their whole careers.
Interesting. I'm not surprised that you find a lot of fear, but I guess I am surprised that you find a lot of fear because of all of the issues that the community experience at the hands of the police, and everything that we've seen over the last few years with the ubiquitous nature of cell phone footage. And the number one thing that you encounter from the community is hesitation and fear because they would now be responsible for the policing agency. Dig into that a little bit more, and more specifically, have you been able in your conversations to convince the people? Because if the people can't be convinced, then we have a bigger problem, don't we?
Well, I don't think we have a problem. I'm just telling you what kind of the pushback that I get is. I'm telling you confidently, you get me in a room with any 10, 100 people, I'm going to convince them of this because this is backed scientifically. It's a perpetual system that's constantly recycling itself to continually improve, to be the best that it can be, to actually pick up the underneath of our society and address the actual issues. So I will completely win that argument, and everybody will understand how that kind of leveling of all boats lifts everyone up if you just lift up the bottom. What the problem is I will not get 10 to 100 politicians to agree to this, because what I'm really doing that's radical is I'm shifting the power dynamic. And that is where the hesitation puts back. You're not going to see me on stage at the People's Summit or getting backed by Bernie Sanders, because I am talking about disrupting the entire power structure that we have. And so you're not going to get corporate and you're not going to get establishment support.
So what's your game plan? Give us, like, if you can, in the last 60 seconds here, give us your game plan on accomplishing this, and then how can the people help you accomplish this?
Okay, I mean, so I'm a scientist, and it's out there, and I want people to improve upon it and look at it. But it's not my job. It's not for me to go out there and sell you something. I am not writing this. I am not coming in as your savior to bring you something. This is an option that is scientifically designed to continually to improve a community, and I will to fight for it. Now, the group Civilian Led Policing, their website is civilianledpolicing.org, and they have a Twitter. It's at Civilian Led PD. That's a different nonprofit group. They're about to go on tour right now, and they're hitting 42 cities in 55 days. You can go to their website and see the schedule, and they're trying to connect everybody, and they've been uniting a lot of politicians to get the ball rolling on their own on a grassroots level, and you really can do it. These progressive movements on a local level are picking up big time. It's that corporate and establishment media that's not going to let you know that it's really happening and it's really possible, because that's disrupting the power.
Michael, listen, thanks so much for your time. Michael Wood is president of Veteran Stand, policing reform expert. Tell everyone how they can get up with you, and the best place to find out more information about this effort.
Sure, please follow me on Twitter. That's my most active place. It's at Michael A. Wood Jr. And I'm brash, out in front perspective on it at Civilian Led PD for Twitter. Off more professional approach to go ahead and put this system in. And you can also text to transform to 22828 and get signed up for information about the tour and where we're going to be and what dates and stuff. And
let me give them to them again, because you were breaking up. You can text Transform Tour, one word, to 22828 to get more information on the tour. Michael Wood Jr., thanks so much for joining me, man. Let's do it again sometime soon.